All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be looking at lesson 4.1, day 1, graphing using a table. And we've already seen those data tables before. We've seen them as the mapping diagram. We've seen them as the input-output table, kind of like horizontal. This one's going to be a little bit more vertical. And our goal is to be able to actually graph lines that are going to look very similar to what we've already seen before. So you're going to have something going uphill, which would be considered a positive slope. You may have something going downhill, which is going to be a negative slope again. And then remember, we might have it horizontal, which would be a slope of 0. And then we may even have a vertical, which is going to be a no slope or undefined. Now, the key thing about all 4 of these is that they are actually lines. So that means when you're making your graphs today, if they're not lines, then you're doing something wrong. All right, so the Cami extension is actually going to work really well. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and have kind of like 2 tabs going on at the same time. One for the video and one for the Cami extension. I'm going to have it in here zoomed in, but then I'm going to show you on the Cami how you can actually make your line. So what we're going to do again is go ahead and take a given equation, and we're going to try and find out some ordered pairs that will actually allow us to plot those points and then create the line. Now remember, it has to be a line. Now the key thing is our instructions are actually to pick 3 x values, or your inputs. We would like a negative value, 0, and then a positive value. So again, it's going to be a negative, 0, and then a positive. Now the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and look at the value that's in front of your x. So it says negative 3x. So actually, if I see just a basic integer, I'm going to go ahead and use my generic negative 1, 0, 1 strategy. And that will be great picks each and every time. You can choose negative 2, 0, 2, negative 3, 0, 3, but I really like negative 1, 0, 1. It's really easy for students to find those values on the actual coordinate plane. So again, remember, a line is made up of so many ordered pairs, but we're just going to pick 3 of them. So again, negative 1, 0, 1. And all you're going to do is take the equation, the right side, where it says negative 3 multiplied by the value of x, which we have selected a negative 1. You know, I'm going to go ahead and use a second color for my substitution there. Because again, that's what my x value was selected, and then it says add 2. So really quick, negative 3 times negative 1, well, that's just going to be 3 plus 2, and we know that 3 plus 2 is going to give me a value of 5. You can put it here as well if you'd like to, and then we just go ahead and place it over here, because we were trying to find y is equal to. So I found y is equal to 5. So that means my ordered pair is going to be negative 1 for the x and positive 5 for the y. I'm going to go ahead and complete the data table, and then I'm going to go over here and plot my points. Now, the 0 is the easiest one, but remember, you're going to go ahead and take what the y is equal to. So it's negative 3 multiplied by the value of x, add 2. And this time we have selected x to be 0. Again, 0 is that great middle number. It's going to keep stuff balanced. So negative 3 times 0 is just 0, add 2. So that's obviously going to give me a y value of 2. My ordered pair is going to be 0, 2. Now the great thing is, if you go ahead and pick my strategy of negative 1, 0, 1, you're going to be able to create a pattern. So it's kind of like that whole idea of increasing and decreasing. So if you notice, the x's are going to be increasing by 1. My y's, 5 decreases to 2 by subtracting 3. So if I were to be able to keep that pattern, I would have to subtract 3 again. And that's one of the reasons that we went over those patterns back in the chapter 6 information. All right, it says negative 3 times the value of x, add 2. So again, the value of x is 1. So negative 3 plus 2, and that's going to give me a negative 1. So again, that is a decrease of 3 because 2 subtract 3 gives me a negative 1. So my pattern holds true. So my ordered pair is 1, 1. Now, if you remember from your data table, x is the input, y is the output. So I'm going to work with my x values, or my input, first. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the origin, which is the 0, 0. and I'm going to work with my x, which is the left or right movement. So look at my first number, x is -1. So I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to count left 1 because it's -1. And if 0 is here, positive 1's to the right, negative 1's to the left. So I'm going to pause there. My y value, remember y is vertical, or the output, it's the up and down y-axis. So y is 5, so I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put my dot right at those corners, because remember, when we were talking about a line, we were saying look at the corners of the boxes. So one more time. Starting at the origin, my x is -1, so I go left 1. My y is +5, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, it may seem a little silly, but a bunch of my 8th graders every year, when I ask them to count 5 up, they go like this, left 1, and then even before they move, they say 1. Then they move 2. No, you didn't move 2 boxes, you moved 1 box. So remember, this is like the starting point. You actually have to move your pencil up to say 1. So be very careful with your counting. All right, next one, x is 0, y is 2. So back to the origin, x is 0, that means no left or right movement. My y is 2, which means up 1, 2. Sometimes students get those confused. They think it's 2, 0, but it's really 0, 2. So one more time again. X is 0, so that means no left or right movement. Y is 2, so I go up 1, 2. And my last point of 1, 1. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake there. There I go. I caught it. 1, -1. So that means it goes a right 1 space because x is +1, and then y is -1. So I'm going to count down 1 space. So again, that is 1, -1. So I went right 1, down 1. Now on mine, I'm going to go ahead and select the arrow tools. And now remember, for a line, you actually need arrows on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best to go ahead and make that. Now I'd really like to have my line going through the 3 points. In other words, if it kind of looked like this, that wouldn't be good enough. You're going to try and get it as close as possible. Now again, if you're going to print it out, you're going to go ahead and take like a straight edge and you're going to line up your points with your gift card, your ID card, some type of card, and you're going to try and make your line go through those 3 points the best that you can. And then once you're ready, you're going to go ahead and put next to the line, y is equal to -3x plus 2. So again, I labeled it. So let me see if I can jump over to the Cami extension real quick. On the Cami extension, again, I'm going to go ahead and do my drawing. I'm going to have my 3 points. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit more. So remember that was what? -1, +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, +2, so that means no left or right, so it's 0, and then up 1, 2. And then 1, -1, so right 1, down 1. So I've got the 3 points just like I did on my program. And you're going to go over here and you're going to say shapes. And you're going to select arrow, insert line. But we want an actual color because it's currently on white, so whatever color you like. And you're going to do your best, just like I showed you on my program, to actually try and draw that line. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty nice. Got some numbers there. All right, so if that is a little bit off, do your select tool, and let's see if it'll let me change it just a little bit. Look at that. It's letting me change it really nice. Because again, you want it to go through the 3 points, and then you're going to reselect your drawing tool. You're going to put your arrows at the end, because remember, a line continues. And then just like I showed you, you're going to write y is equal to -3x plus 2. Excellent. So remember, you're going to do the drawing tool for your dots first. You're going to go to shapes for your line. Just make sure it's an actual color. And you're going to make your line. We did the select tool to adjust our line. If it wasn't lined up perfectly with those dots, we can move it around just a little bit. Then we go back to our drawing tool and we do our arrows. And then we put our equation there. And again, you can back up the video and watch that again if you need to. Awesome. All right, so my goal is to see if I can help you on a few of these problems. and then you'll have some for your actual homework. So again, we talked about how to fill out the data table. We'll practice that. You make your line, your arrows, your equation. Everybody's excited. All right, so let's see this one here. Now, what I forgot to mention to you is most of these are going to be in what is called slope-intercept form, and we'll get into that more in depth on a different lesson. But if you look at the number in front of the x, which happens to be a -1, that's actually what your slope's going to be. All right, so if you notice, that is an integer, -1. So I'm going to go ahead and select -1, 0, and +1. Now, if it was a fraction, I'll talk about that in just a bit. If it was not looking like this, I'll talk about that in a bit again. We're going to go ahead and do a few problems together. We're going to try and speed it up. We got -1 times x, subtract 3. Let me see if I can change colors. Again, the x value that I've selected is going to go inside the parentheses, and I've selected -1. So -1 multiplied by -1 is +1. Subtract 3 is -2. Y is -2, so my ordered pair is -1, -2. Remember, your ordered pair is always your x first, y second. That's why we have the table there. All right, so we've got -1 times 0, because that's what the x is going to be, subtract 3. So I'm going to insert 0, substitute it. -1 times 0 is just 0, subtract 3 is just -3. So some of you might be thinking, okay, I see the pattern already. Again, the x's are increasing by 1, the y's are decreasing by 1, so you might be able to predict what that last y is going to be. But we're going to go ahead and verify that. Again, -1 is from the equation. Substitute my x value. Our goal, again, is to make a nice, beautiful line. A minimum of 3 points. We used to require students to make 5 points. But 3 points we've decided is good enough. -1 subtract 3 is -4, and hopefully that's what you were predicting. Now remember, a line is made up of essentially an infinite amount of points. So there are a lot more points that you can find, but that's what I suggest. And the way that we really just check it is the visualization, the graph. So let's make our line. -1, -2. So starting at the origin, -1. So left 1, -2, down 1, 2. Because remember, it's always the x first, then the y second. -1, -2. Looks good there. 0, -3. That means no left or right. So 0 means no left or right. And then -3 means from the origin down 1, 2, 3. And then finally, my third point is 1, -4. So from the origin, I go right 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4. With your 3 points, remember, you're going to make your selection to make your line. So I'm going to do that on my program. You would do it on your Kami extension. Just remember to make sure that your arrow or your line is going through the points. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to extend it, if you will, from edge to edge, like where the boxes are, edge to edge. Make sure you've got arrows on it. And what I mean is that's not good enough. The arrow's too short. I would like it to go from edge. Oops. So extend it, edge to edge. So it's a little bit off. I can adjust mine. Again, on the Kami extension, it was really good as well. It might be my screen. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and label it. Y is equal to -x and subtract 3. All right, next one. Okay, this one is a fraction. So number 3 and number 4 have fractions. So our rule about selecting the x's or the guide is going to change just a little bit. Now, previously I said, again, -0, positive, so that still holds. So let's go ahead and mark it with a -0 and a positive idea. So we normally said, I guess we'll write it here. Not too sure why it didn't show up. We said when it was an integer, just select -1, 0, 1. When it's a fraction, look at your denominator. Denominator of 2. I'm going to suggest that you focus on that denominator and let that be your guide. So I'm going to choose -2, 0, +2. If my denominator was 4, I would choose -4, 0, 4. If my denominator was 5, I would choose -5, 0, 5. And you'll see why right now. Because when I go to do my substitution and I use my x that I have selected, if I simply put a 1 underneath that -2, that will allow me to perform my cross-canceling skill. The 2's will be able to cross-cancel. 3 multiplied by -1 is -3, and subtract 5. So -3 subtract 5 is going to be -8. So my ordered pair would be -2, -8. Now, if I selected a different x value, I could do that, but I might get some fractional numbers that I need to be a little bit more aware of when I'm actually doing my ordered pair. So I like using the denominator idea, -2, 0, 2. Now again, the 0 is the easiest one. That's why we select it. Because 3/2 times 0 is just a 0, and 0 subtract 5 is just -5. Remember, our goal is to make a beautiful line, which is a linear equation. In the previous sections, it was called a linear function. Because again, each input only has one output. All right, last one on this specific equation, 3/2 multiplied by, again, my x value is +2, so I'm just going to go ahead and write a 2/1. Allows me to do some beautiful cross-canceling. 3 times 1 is 3, subtract 5. Now, again, you got to be careful with your integer rules because some students may accidentally say -3 subtract 5 is not -8, which means you might get duplicate answers here on the y, and we can't have that. It would not give us a line. And again, that's the guide. You have to have a line. These are linear equations. So let's see when I plot it. -2, -8. So that's starting at the origin, left 1, 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it goes off a little bit. So I'm going to estimate it right there. Because again, it's just an extra box. So one more time, that was left 1, 2, down 8 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more box. Goes off, that's okay. That's why we do 3 points. 0, -5. Again, no left or right. So that's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And last one, 2, -2 from the origin. That's right 2, 1, 2, down 1, 2. If I make my line, and hopefully this will be nice and neat this time. Again, I can always adjust it. Let's try and go from edge to edge. So don't stop here. Keep going all the way here. That's what a lot of students have difficulty with when we're in class, in person. They always just make it too short. So I'm walking around, I'm just like, extend it, extend it. But on the digital, it should just be easy to extend that. All right, quick labeling. Y is equal to 3/2 x. Subtract 5. Now, the reason that we do our labeling is because later on, we're actually going to be graphing 2 lines, and that might give us like an X, or it might give us parallel lines, and we want to know the difference between the two. So you're doing good practice here with your simple labeling. All right, looking at this one right here. Okay, so same strategy. Let's go ahead and look at our denominator. That will allow me, not too sure why it didn't show up here again, to go ahead and select my x's. I'm going to choose -0, positive. Looking at my denominator of 3, I'm going to choose -3, 0, +3. On my substitution again, be careful with your signs. Oops, we'll do that with a different color. Add 4. Again, I'm taking my x value, which I identified to be -3, substituting, and cross-canceling. Negative multiplied by negative is +2. Add 4. gives me a nice 6, so -3, 6. 0, the easiest one again, -2/3 times 0 is 0, add 4. Well, again, let me catch up. 0 plus 4, a simple 4. So again, that's the easiest one. You might even know a trick on that one. Do you see the pattern? My x's are increasing by 3s, my y's are decreasing by 2. So you might be able to predict this one here. And again, if you use my strategy of how to pick your x's, your y's will always give you a pattern. It's a great strategy. All right, quick substitution, +3. Go to cross cancel. So I have a -2 plus 4, and maybe that's what you predicted, a 2. So x goes first, y goes second on the ordered pair. All right, quick plotting, -3, 6. So from the origin, I'm going to go left 3, always x first. 1, 2, 3, and then up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did not go off. Excellent. 0, 4. Remember, that's no left or right movement. So that's just up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, x is first, so that's right 1, 2, 3, and then y is second. It's a +2, go up 1, 2. Awesome. Again, you could do the exact same thing on your cami extension, and then you're going to go ahead and make your line. And again, don't make it too short. Go ahead and extend it edge to edge. Got to make mine just a little bit longer here. And then quick label. Y is equal to -2/3 x plus 4. Now, one thing we could ask you is, instead of giving you a graph, we could just give you an equation and a specific ordered pair, and we may ask you, hey, is that actually on the line? Because if you had the graph, you'd just be able to check it. So for example, I may say, is 1, 2? So quick question, is 1, 2 on the line? So you see the line, 1, 2, again, that's from x is 1, y is 2, 1, 2. So that would be that point there. And no, of course that's not on the line. That's below the line, so that would not be on the line. But if I actually had just an equation, which again is y is equal to, what is that, -2/3 x, add 4, and we were asking you about 1, 2 again. Remember, I would say, okay, this is x, this is y. So I would say, well, y is 2, and I want to see if that is equal to -2/3 multiplied by the x value, which is a 1. So I would say 2 is equal to -2/3 add 4, because again, -2/3 times 1 is just -2/3. So it's really like 4 subtract 2/3. So that's really going to be 3 1/3. So is 2 equal to 3 1/3? Of course not. We would slash that out. That's not equal to. So if you had a graph, it's a lot easier to check. Oh, 1, 2, that's right there. It's not on the line. But if you didn't have a graph, you'd have to use this type of strategy, which is very valid. And you'll see that later. All right, last thing we're going to go ahead and look at is, well, what do we do if we only have a single variable of y or x? So I'm actually going to do the x one first. Now, if it's a single variable, so x equals or y equals, all you have to think about, well, what is x? Well, x is 3. Well, what's x? X is 3. What is x? X is 3. So in other words, the negative number, 0, positive number does not hold true when you're dealing with x equals 3. Because again, x is 3. 3, 3, 3. So the question is, well, what's y going to be? So you don't even have to do any work in here, because if x is 3, it doesn't tell you anything about y. So you have the power to choose. And I tell my students the easiest thing to choose is just 1, 2, 3. So that would give me an ordered pair of 3, 1, 3, 2, and then finally 3, 3. Now this is going to give me one of those lines that we talked about at the very beginning again. Let's see if I can get there real quick. We've already talked about our positive and negative slope. So now we're looking at either the horizontal or vertical line. So what I'm going to ask us to do is to plot the points and see which one we get. So again, x is 3, so that's right, 1, 2, 3, and y is 1. Back to the origin, well, x is 3 again. 1, 2, 3, y is 2, 1, 2. Last one, 3, 3. Well, x is 3, 1, 2, 3, y is 1, 2. Hey, we've got vertical. So all I need you to do is to make your line vertical. Make sure you have the arrows, go edge to edge, and then quick labeling. X is equal to 3. So it means if it was like x is equal to negative 4, I would be over here on this side. X is equal to positive 6, somewhere over here more on the right. But x is equal to, oh, why did I write negative 3? X is 3. All right, last one we're going to look at here is y is equal to negative 5. Now this one, notice it does not tell us about x, it tells us about y. So on my data table, I'm going to go ahead and identify y is negative 5. All the y's are the same because it tells me y equals negative 5. So my x's are going to be anything I choose. I choose 1, 2, 3. Now, be careful on your ordered pair. Remember that x always goes first. So it's going to be 1, negative 5. 2, negative 5. Now, the reason I bring that up is because every year I have students write the y first. But no, remember, it's always x, y. We even have it there for you. 3, negative 5. So when I go to plot my points, I'm still going to start at the origin. My x is found first, so it means x is 1, right 1. Y is negative 5, so down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X is 2, right 1, 2. Y is negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X is 3, right 1, 2, 3. Y is negative 5. So if you notice, this time it will give me a horizontal line. Go edge to edge and quick label. Excellent. So what I'm going to ask you to do essentially is to use these skills that we just practiced and continue to practice on your own. So essentially we did about half of the work together and you're going to go ahead and finish the other half. Now, very important to practice your graphing skills. So remember, on the Kami extension, very easy to do with it. You just use the drawing tool for your arrows, then you do your shapes tool for your line, and then fill in the rest with your drawing tool again. All right, be awesome. Do the best that you can.